We've discovered Kepler-22b, a small exoplanet in the Cygnus constellation. Seems like nothing important, right? But it's actually a big deal. This is the first planet located in the habitable zone that was found by the Kepler telescope. In other words, there may be water on this planet, and if there's water, there may be life. Kepler-22b could become our new potential home. So let's take a closer look at it. Actually, discovering new planets is not easy at all. Not all of them can be seen through our super cool telescopes, not even the almighty Hubble. Sometimes, the stars are so small and dim that it's really hard to find them on a map. The same thing happened with Kepler-22. In such cases, scientists had to use a special method. First, they take a bunch of photos of the star over different periods of time. Then they look at them and think, are there any dark dots on the star somewhere? If they find one, that might be a planet. These photos actually help us discover some very important stuff. First of all, this planet exists. Secondly, here's its size, radius, and proximity to the star. And finally, will we be able to live there? Now we know that Kepler-22b is very similar to our planet and could potentially become a second Earth. It's also very close to us, only 635 light-years away. Yeah, that's about 3 quadrillion miles, but this is one of the closest options. Kepler-22, the star of Kepler-22b, is a yellow dwarf. It's very similar to our Sun, the same size, the same radius, and even the age is almost the same at 4 billion years. The only difference is in luminosity. It's about 20% dimmer than the Sun. So no matter how much you strain your eyes, you won't see the star in the night sky. The planet Kepler-22b is about 2.4 times larger than Earth, and that's pretty good. More radius means more potential water and space to live. Although, going from one city to another would take a while. It's scary to even imagine a 3-day-long plane flight. We don't know the exact mass of this planet, but scientists think it's bigger than Earth's. Actually, the mass of Kepler-22b can be up to 36 times greater than that of our planet. What does this mean? Vigorous gravity. If the planet is 36 times heavier than Earth, then gravity there will be about 6 times stronger. Can you barely lift 20 pounds of potatoes? Try 120. Not to mention, you yourself would become much heavier on that planet. You'd have to get incredibly pumped up just to walk there. You'd literally have to turn yourself into a bodybuilder just to get to wake. The worst thing is that with such gravity, it'd be incredibly difficult for plants to survive. They'd need at least a little freedom to rise up from the ground. And animals, our dogs and cats would have to turn into little balls of muscle to survive. But if this planet has its own animals or other inhabitants, we can roughly imagine what they may look like. They probably have a lot of legs to make moving easier, aren't really tall but are very massive and extremely strong. Muscular giant spiders. Could be worse, I guess. The good news is that this is all unconfirmed information. If we're very lucky and gravity there turns out to be just a bit stronger than Earth's, then of course it'll be much easier to live there. The next thing we know about Kepler-22b is that it's about 15% closer to its star than we are to the Sun. If Kepler-22b existed in our solar system, it would be located somewhere between Earth and Venus. Does that mean we're all going to burn? No. Silly. As I mentioned before, the star Kepler-22 is pretty cold, just some 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's why we can assume the temperatures on Kepler-22b would be about the same as we have on Earth if the planet orbits its star the same way Earth orbits the Sun, which we don't actually know. Kepler-22b could rotate around its star on its side, like Uranus. What? Didn't you know Uranus is actually lying on its side? Also, look at its rings. Yes, Uranus has rings like Saturn, but they are vertical. The universe is truly a mysterious place. So, if Kepler-22b is really something like that, then the weather on the planet will be, to put it mildly, not very good. Incredibly cold winters would regularly be followed by hot summers. And just like with tidally locked planets, we'd be able to live more or less comfortably only on a narrow piece of land between these two crazy sides. Let's hope that's not the case and the planet rotates normally. But it's not all that bad. Studies show that there may be an ocean on Kepler-22b. You already know that water means life. But in this case, it's also a big plus because a planet covered by an ocean always has more stable temperatures. The water absorbs some of the heat and distributes it evenly across the planet. The hot parts cool down, and the icy ones warm up. By the way, that's exactly what happened to Earth billions of years ago. When our planet started getting its first little puddles, our beloved moon helped them spread all over the planet. Thanks to this, the burning horror that used to be our Earth turned into a cute little bowl full of life. So if Kepler-22b has water but no atmosphere, scientists think the average temperature could be around 12 degrees Fahrenheit. But if there's also an Earth-like atmosphere, the temperature could reach 72 degrees Fahrenheit. That would be nice. And finally, 1 year there is equal to 290 Earth days, about 9 months. The planet has no natural satellites, so unfortunately, we'd have to say goodbye to the beautiful view of the moon. On the bright side, we'd probably be able to see the sun as a distant little star. We could admire it in the night sky, remembering our home while not hiding from giant spiders. This is all we know at the moment. Unfortunately, it's quite difficult to explore such planets, so there's a lot of very important data we still don't know. For example, what kind of planet is this anyway? Yep, we're missing the most important information about Kepler-22b. We don't know if it's a rocky planet or not. If not, then all the previously mentioned information means nothing. It may turn out to be a gas planet, or a planet covered with gas but with a solid core, like Neptune, or a water world covered with a giant ocean. In this case, it better be a water planet. Then at least we could build some kind of underwater city there. We could filter the water and eat fish until we evolve into an amphibious species. Does it even count as evolution if we go back to our roots? Scientists, however, think Kepler-22b may turn out to be a Neptune-like planet. Some astronomers have even assigned the planet to a category of mini-Neptunes. Yes, this is a real planetary category, but this hasn't been proven yet. But even if, fortunately for us, Kepler-22b turns out to be a rocky planet, we still don't know what the atmosphere is like. Does it exist at all? What if it turns out to be something like the atmosphere of Venus, which is more toxic than your ex? Then we'd have to dig deep underground to somehow survive, and come up with a heat source, because it's pretty cold down there. Yeah, let's hope this won't be the case. There are many possibilities with Kepler-22b. So far, we don't have a clear answer, but let's hope scientists will find one before we load the first people into shuttles and send them to conquer Kepler-22b. That would be awkward if it turns out to be a gas planet or something like that.